Welcome to the Becoming Eva podcast, where we discuss real-life issues from a woman's perspective.
Becoming Eva seeks to break the silence within the female community while fostering authenticity, transparency, and healing.
We're your hosts, Latoya Moore
and Maya Dawson.
Let's get started. Yay! Good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy season 6.
Yes. Happy New Year. All of the above. Because we know it's been a minute, y'all. It has been a minute. And it's been a journey. So we have a lot to catch up with you all on. But yes, first off, great seeing you, Latoya. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. January was a bit of a rough month for me recovering medically. I had to have a surgery, so it's been a journey. It's been a rough month, but I'm finally starting to feel more like myself. Finally.
Oh, God. Praise God for that, girl. Yeah, it's real. It's real. I tell you. I did not have a procedure or anything in January. It was very full though. We did some traveling actually right at the top of the year. So I actually went to New Jersey. I had not been to my husband's hometown before in all our years of dating or marriage. So it was awesome to see where he grew up, and of course meet some of his family members that I think I had seen met all of his family members that we visited with, but it had been a minute nonetheless. So all that to say, it was great to see him in his stomping grounds, and then kind of hit the ground running when we got back, like back-to-back meetings. I started a leadership coaching program, applied for graduate school, a lot. So, and then in the midst of all that, I was like, okay, I felt like my body was like, okay, you need to slow your roll, right? You need to slow your roll. So I was like, okay, let me just get through 1, 2, 3 more days, and then I'm going to chill out. And my body was like, nope, you're going to chill out right now. So after about almost 3 years, girl, the vid finally caught me. I was out with COVID. So
oh, wow.
It's been a 2-week recovery. And of course, they say rest is the best, prescription or best thing to do, especially if you don't have any major symptoms. And thankfully, I just had cold symptoms. So I was able to rest in quarantine. My husband did not test positive. So he was actually holding down the fort, taking care of me. So I was grateful for that, grateful for him. Finally tested negative, and I'm trying to get somewhat back into my routine, but at the same time, it's a process. So just pacing myself and, not trying to jump back in, full speed ahead, but giving myself grace. So it has been a full month, y'all, needless to say. So apologies for the delay, but we are back for season 6, and we're excited. We're ready to connect with y'all. So here we go.
Yes. So today we are sipping tea. That's how we with our opening seasoner episodes. So we'll be catching up today.
Yes. And so for those of you that may or may not know, T for us stands for truth, events, and advice. Okay, so we're going to be touching on all 3 of those today. All right, and we're going to start off with truth. So, of course, we are officially in the month of love, also known as Black History Month, February. And so, I think a lot of people, whether they're single or married, kind of start to feel a little anxious about the whole, am I in a relationship? Am I not in a relationship? Do I love myself? Do I not love myself? That whole kind of thing, is Valentine's Day a big deal? Is it not? And so I really wanted us to kind of talk about our journey. Like, first of all, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Like, or is it just another day on the calendar? Like, what do you think?
For me, we do celebrate Valentine's Day. Now, each Valentine's from year to year, it looks differently. When we didn't have kids, we were able to like celebrate it in big proportions and like really spoil each other and demonstrate our love for one another. And then as our household continued to grow, it became harder and harder to find babysitters on the actual day.
Of course, yeah.
So sometimes, we'll celebrate, like go out and stuff maybe before or after the actual date,
Mhm.
or we do like a nice dinner at the house. And like Ryan's language is gifts, so he always like gives me nice gifts and things like that. So yes, we do celebrate it, and I think it's if you don't choose to celebrate it, I think if you have another day on the calendar, just being like intentional about like showing your love for one another. But I think it's a great reminder. Um, so that's why I like celebrating it.
Yeah, that's what's up. I will say we celebrate Valentine's Day. I think over the years we've, or almost say more recently, we've tried to be intentional about it because and my husband loves to remind me of this. Like literally, the top of the year, like the first quarter, it's like celebration palooza in Dawsonville because after the holidays, of course, and even right before the holidays is his birthday, but then we've got the holidays and then we've got Valentine's Day, and then we've got our anniversary, and then we've got my birthday. So he's always like, "Oh, I'm sweating bullets over these first few months of the year because I don't know, what to do on this day or that day, and I want to do something special. I want to do something different." So we've really tried to be more thoughtful and intentional with our gifts, and then also too, I've tried to reciprocate as much as possible because Valentine's Day, if it's a day of love, then it should, in my opinion, be like mutual. So if he's going to give me a gift, I want to give him a gift or celebrate him in some way, shape, or form. And the same with our anniversary. So I try to take some pressure off, if you will, on those days in particular. Now, my birthday, girl, I'm a birthday person. Now, I celebrate big time for my birthday. Okay, that was before marriage, during all of the above. So that's a whole nother story. But for Valentine's Day and our anniversary, we really try to mutually celebrate it or celebrate it, reciprocally. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, and I will say, was it last year? I think it was last year. I was like, I want to like just do the most for Valentine's Day, just because I felt like we were just kind of in a rut where it's like, okay, you tell me what you want, I tell you what you want, and we'll get it. And I was like, no, I really want to be thoughtful. And so I did like a scavenger hunt and did like little gifts for each day leading up to Valentine's Day. And it honestly like ignited something in our relationship, in our marriage. But then I also feel like it ignited something in our gift giving as well. Like, I mean, I feel like we both have been much more thoughtful over the past couple of years about what we get each other and not just being predictable. So, yeah, so this year, of course, I felt like I set the bar kind of high last year. I'm like, oh, Lord, what am I do this year? But all that to say, I really want to make sure that it's reciprocated, that he feels just as celebrated as I do. So,
Right.
now here's a question. Did you celebrate Valentine's Day as a single? And if you did, how?
Yes, I celebrated Valentine's as a single
Mhm.
because it's kind of hard when you're looking at happy couples and they're like, you know, getting flowers and being taken out, and it can kind of be a little, depressing, like if you're single and you see all these people like celebrating. So what I used to do when I was single on Valentine's Day, I would pamper myself on that day. And it could just be like, I might get my nails done. I might take
Mhm.
myself out to eat or grab to go if I don't want to be like in the
Mhm.
atmosphere. Because
Mhm.
I will go to a restaurant by myself and eat. Even now that I'm married, like I
Yes.
do that too. So on Valentine's Day, like I might like grab something to go, something that I really like, and just kind of like pamper myself and try not to like think on the things that I don't have, and then appreciate like where I am in life and in the season. And I know it can be hard when you're single and you might be like wanting a boyfriend or a husband. But just remember to like celebrate yourself and treat yourself right.
That's so good. And I mean, I say that's so good because at the core, it's good. I think oftentimes we kind of use it almost as a cliche now. It's like, girls, just love yourself. But like, no, really, really, like, we really do have to love ourselves, as singles and in marriage. Because if we don't, then we have nothing to give anybody. So, I mean,
Right.
that's really, really important. And not just waiting until Valentine's Day to profess your love for yourself. Like, love yourself for real, like, and whatever that looks like in that season. If it means I need to sleep in today, if it means I'm getting a massage, if it means I'm going to say no and stop overcommitting, like, whatever that loving yourself means. If it means I'm going to eat right and exercise more, like prioritizing yourself, you have to, because if you don't, you have nothing to give to those that are around you. I know when I'm huge on pampering too, single and married, big on pampering. So I'm right there with you as far as the pamper moment. I will say though, probably the last few years before I got married, I really kind of made it like a girlfriend's weekend where we'd go out to dinner, and actually in Atlanta. And I don't know if they're doing it this year, but it always seemed like right around Valentine's Day that Alvin Ailey was performing at the Fox. And so we would go to the Fox, girl, and watch us some Alvin Ailey and go out to eat and dress up. Like, we like made a weekend of it. And it was so fun. Like, I loved it. I loved it. And so that's always a great thing for me, where it's like, just do something fun. I think one year we might have went painting. But, and again, it does not have to be on the actual day of Valentine's Day. It's actually probably better if it's not, because it won't be as crowded. You'll be able to kind of get where you want to go and not have to wait forever for reservations or what have you. So, and that's honestly whether you married or single. Like, I know if we do go somewhere on Valentine's Day, we might do breakfast, brunch, but that dinner scene is usually crazy.
Yes.
So all that to say, yeah, find a different time and celebrate if you want to celebrate. But I was telling Toya, before we went on, I was reminded that we actually interviewed some newlyweds. I think this was, gosh, back in season 4, and they were talking about how they don't celebrate Valentine's Day. Like, they're like, hey, I celebrate loving you and our relationship more than one day a year. It doesn't take a holiday to do that. And so some couples are like, hey, it's just another day. And matter of fact, we just did date night, or we just came off vacation, or we just did a pamper me session or whatever. And, it's just another day. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way or reason as far as celebrating Valentine's Day. But I will say, make sure that you love yourself. You take time to love on yourself, whether you're single or married. And then if you're married, make sure that you are still actively dating and courting and pursuing one another, and that's whether you celebrate Valentine's Day or not. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree. What are some things that you've done that Chris has done in the past for Valentine's for you?
Oh, that's a good question. Chris, I will say this. When Chris, he takes the cake for like thoughtful gifts. I feel like I'll usually try to break the bank, and and he'll be like, "Oh, that's nice," and I'm like, "Do you know how much that costs?" But then he'll turn around and do something like super, super thoughtful, and I'm like in tears, like, why didn't I think of that? So, but we actually, in this, I want to say we were engaged, but we were engaged. We were saving for our wedding, so we had like, I think, a challenge of it. It was like $10 or less. We're not spending a lot on Valentine's Day. And he got me this memory box. And in the memory box, he actually put cards and notes that he like that were written for me. And then also he was like, hey, this is where you can store our keepsakes in the future, and there were like pictures, and it was so sweet. I was like, oh my gosh, like, it was so sweet. And so, yes, thoughtful gifts really get me. And I'm trying to remember if this was on Valentine's Day or not. It may have, I don't know, but I always tell this. Well, I may have told this story on this show. I don't know. Did I tell y'all the story about the vacuum cleaner? Does that sound
I
familiar?
don't think I no.
Okay, okay. But we had just started dating, and for those of you that may or may not know, I mean, it was a rocky journey for our dating. I think Chris had just gotten laid off when we first started dating, so he was like literally like living on unemployment and still like, I'm gonna take you out here, we're gonna go here, and I was like, okay, hold on now, how's this gonna work? How's this gonna work? So we were talking on the phone one day, and I think I was cleaning up, and I was like, gosh, I need a new vacuum cleaner. My vacuum cleaner is broke, blah blah blah. And literally it was just in passing conversation, so we were just went on talking about whatever else, and the next time he came to my house he showed up with a new vacuum cleaner, and to me that was like the sweetest thing in the world, because I was like, it was so thoughtful. Like, it wasn't something I asked for, it wasn't something I was expecting, but the fact that you paid attention to something that I needed and sacrificed to get it for me, like, that was huge. So I would say that we actually, gosh, what else have we done? We've definitely done the fancy restaurant thing, but I think it was cool to like experience his taste, because he selected a restaurant I hadn't been to before, and we kind of just tasted different things off the menu and just tried different things we hadn't tried before. And so I think for me, like, thoughtfulness is huge, and then also time, just time, quality time with one another. So those stand out to me, but I'll let you know if I think of anything else. Yes. So, but do you have any great Valentine's Day memories with Ryan that you want to
Oh, I have so many. I think the one that takes the cake was when we were courting, and I had no idea that he was such a huge gift giver. So I was working at Lindley Middle School at the time, and I walked into my classroom. He apparently had a conversation with my principal ahead of time, and he decorated my room with, it was like this giant teddy bear, edible arrangements, and all kinds of things for like Valentine's. So when I walked in to my classroom to get ready for like the day, it was like all this stuff in there. And then he had a key, a spare key to my house. And so when I came home, I walked in, and I still have the little globe here.
Oh,
God's gift, angel of mine, January 23rd, 2011. And he had this sitting out. His laptop was open, and it was playing Angel of Mine. And
I love
I was
that.
like, what in the world?
I love that.
He had it on loop on his laptop. And then later on, we went to Ruth Chris for dinner. And I was just like blown away by all the gestures of the day.
Yes.
And he's done stuff like that throughout the years. And then there's a poem that he wrote too that I have hanging in my office. But he does a lot of thoughtful things.
I love that. I was gonna say, Ryan, if y'all have not heard bits and pieces of their love story, you should go back to previous episodes. But Ryan is like the romance king, like, for real. Like, he is big on like the fairy tale. I'm gonna paint a picture. I'm gonna go all out. Like, that is Ryan all day long. So I love that. I love that. That's awesome. So those are our Valentine's Day stories. Hopefully you got some inspiration, I should say, from some of what was shared. Do we have anything else we want to talk about for truth?
I think that was it.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to events. Okay, so you know, 4 events. We got to catch up. It's been a minute, okay? So we got a little bit of what's trending in there, but then we also have our infamous breakups and hookups that we got to talk about, okay? So what's trending? A lot has happened. A lot, okay? So first off, we got to give a shout out to our girl Kiki Palmer, who is officially preggo. She actually announced that several weeks ago when she was hosting SNL and showed her beautiful baby bump. She is actually expecting with her longtime boyfriend, and it actually, I remember her talking about this relationship before the pregnancy reveal, just talking about how different she felt about this relationship. Like she could completely be herself. She was, happier than she'd ever been. So I'm hoping that they make it official and tie the knot soon. But she definitely seems very happy, and we are giving them all the love and best wishes for a smooth remainder of the pregnancy. I don't know if she's done a gender reveal yet. Do you know if she's revealed what she's having yet?
I don't think she has,
Okay.
but I'll say I know there were some like trolls on like Twitter,
Mm, all
TikTok,
right.
or something related to Kiki before she was preggo, and they were like bullying her and like talking about how she wasn't like cute without makeup and just like being mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how she is out there showing off her baby bump,
Yes.
taking maternity photos, and just telling those haters to leave her alone, basically. Like, move on.
Yeah. And I mean, the reality of it is, it's always going to be trolls out there. Like, that's just the world that we live in. I jokingly said to my husband one day, I was like, gosh, with the age of social media, everybody thinks their opinion matters. And it's sad but true. I mean, yes, your opinion matters, but not about everything and not to everybody. So, I apologize that she had to go through that. But I mean, hey, it's the world we live in, and so I'm glad that she knew how to clap back and keep it moving, so and remain an inspiration to us natural girls out there, okay, for real. So congrats again to Kiki, and boyfriend and baby on the way. All right. So next up, it's been a big couple of weeks actually for Beyonce. For a couple of reasons. Number one, she's going on tour. She announced her new tour. So everybody's like, how can I get tickets? When can I get tickets? How much are the tickets? And I think somebody told me tickets start at like 650 and then like go up to like 10 G's. I was like, good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. But I am going to tell you, have you ever been to a Beyonce concert?
I have not.
I have been to a Beyonce concert, and when I tell you it's an experience, it is an experience. And this was like early on. Like this was probably when she had like first gone solo. It wasn't at her height. So I'm sure they've gotten even more just outlandish and extravagant and all that good stuff. So I could see, why people are still scrambling to, use their rent money to buy the tickets. I would not recommend that, but if you got the loot like that and you want to splurge, have at it, have at it. So she announced her new tour dates, and then also she made history at the Grammys this year for winning the most Grammys of all time. She actually surpassed, I believe it was a classical conductor that had gotten the most Grammys prior to her, and she blew them out the water and killed it at the Grammys. And I really appreciated her speech. Like she was just talking about, I just want to take this time. I want to take in this moment. I don't want to rush through it. I don't want to belittle it. I just want to be present in this moment. And so I love that because I don't think we take time to be present enough in life. So I don't think it was Hans Zimmer. My husband is chiming in. I think it was George Stoltz, but you can check me on that. I was trying to Google it to make sure, but we go back and forth like this on the music facts. Okay, but anyways, all that to say, yeah, she was like, I really want to stay in the moment, and so I was grateful for that. But yeah, I know we had talked about her song "Cuff It," which is what pushed her over the edge. She also thanked the queer community for promoting her album. She thanked God for protecting her and keeping her. So it's a whole lot in there. I'm just gonna say we're gonna pray for Beyonce. But I will say too, on that note, I want to say I think it was the day of the Grammys, or the day, no, it was the day she dropped her tour dates. Tasha Cobb's Leonard was going viral because she had posted a prayer for Beyonce, which kind of got some mixed results. I actually had a very interesting discussion with one of my friends about it, where she was like, I think Christians, try to show their support for mainstream artists in order to make themselves seem relevant instead of really having a genuine concern for that person. So, but I don't know if did you see this happen?
No, but that sounds interesting. I would like to know about the prayer.
It was a powerful prayer. Like she was, just praying that God would cover and keep her and her family, and just the weight that comes with somebody of that fame status, which is so true. Because quite honestly, and I tell people this all the time, no human is meant to carry that much glory. Only God is. And you can literally crumble under the weight of that glory if you aren't careful, because again, we weren't meant to carry that. And we've seen it time and time again with those greats, the Michael Jacksons, the Princes, the where people are like literally crying in your presence. Like, that was never meant for a person. That was always meant for God. And so, Beyonce is one of those people where people are like, "All hail the queen. Oh my God, I can't even, breathe in your presence. I'm never washing this shirt that you touched again." And that's a lot that comes with that. So she did pray regarding that, and just the secret desires of her heart, that God would meet them. And I thought it was a great prayer. But I think at the same time, a lot of people were saying, in light of the music that she puts out there, which we've talked about, whether you thank God or not, it doesn't sound like you are actively trying to live a life that's pleasing to God. So I know I threw a whole lot out there, but what are your thoughts basically on any of it? I mean, like, do you feel like Beyonce is a legit believer? Do you think people should pray for her? Like, what are your thoughts?
I definitely think people should pray for her. I would not be able to judge on like if she's a true believer or not. I don't think anybody can really judge that. Only God can judge the heart,
Yeah.
and judge like your life choices and things like that. So I won't like speak on that. And I think it's great that that Tasha prayed for her. I don't know what flack she's getting, because I mean it's a prayer, like somebody's praying for you, or why would people be upset about that? So I'm not really sure. I definitely think the tickets are overpriced for me. I won't be there. But I do know a couple people that are trying to go to the concert, so I hope they have fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great show. I have no doubt about that. I mean, Beyonce, to me, when it comes to performances now, living, there's nobody else like her now. So yeah. So all that to say, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then also another amazing artist made history during the Grammys, the incomparable Viola Davis. She actually became an EGOT because of her Grammy win. So those of you that may or may not know, an EGOT is when you're able to win an award in all four categories for film, television, stage, and music. So Emmys is the E, G is for Grammys, O is for Oscars, and T is for Tony. And Viola has officially won at least one of each of those, which is amazing. She actually won the Grammy for her audiobook that she recently released, her memoir. And so congrats to Viola. I'm super excited for her.
Congratulations. I'm definitely a Viola fan. I love her as an actress. How to Get Away with Murder. That was like my TV show when it was on. I faithfully watched that, and I loved her in Woman King. I never talked about that. Um, she's just a very she has a lot of range in her acting abilities. So I love it.
Absolutely. Yes. So shout out to Viola. Congrats on that. All right. So that's what's trending. But we got to talk a little bit about our hookups and breakups. So we talking hookups first? Hookups? All
Lisa.
right. All right. Hookups. Oh, all I can say is Lori, 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 Lori. Lori, 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 Lori. So our girl Lori Harvey. Yeah. It's almost like, and we were joking like Lori and who dot 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 because you can almost fill in the blank at this point. Okay. So we talked about her major breakup with the Michael B. Jordan. He actually talked about that on SNL a couple weeks ago, which was interesting, I should say. But yeah, it recently came out that she is dating the star of Snowfall, Mr. Damson Idris. And she actually did an interview, and this wasn't necessarily about their relationship, but she rarely does interviews. So she actually did an interview and was basically just talking about how a lot of people speculate about who she is, the type of person that she is, and basically they're wrong. And they were asking about the whole dating piece, and with her father being Steve Harvey, like what advice has he given her as a date, on the dating scene? And she said, to know that I'm the prize, to know that I have value, to know that I have worth, to know that I bring something to the table, and to not settle. So, all that to say, she is gonna live her best life. She don't care what y'all got to say. And yeah, right now her best life includes dating Damson Idris. So, any thoughts on Miss Lori?
All right, Miss Lori, go ahead, get you your actor. She likes actors, it looks like.
For now, for now,
For
for now.
now.
Mhm, for now. Yes. Oh, shout out to her. So, all right. And Michelle in the building. Thank you for joining us this
Hey,
morning.
hey, Miss
So
Eddie.
we'll see. Do you have any if you were a betting woman? how long you think how long you think this shit gonna last?
My guess is we'll be talking about breakups with Miss Lori by April.
Okay, okay. So we're gonna give her till spring. Okay.
Springtime.
Because actually, and I was thinking about this, I was like, when does cuffing season officially end? Does it end right after Valentine's Day? Does it have to warm up a little bit? But I think you're right. I think it's a little bit after, I think it's further after Valentine's Day, like spring. So that'll give her time to, have a hot girl summer by then. So if we give it to April, she'll be like, all right, it's time, hit these streets, and
It'll definitely be in season 6.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So that is our first hookup that we're going to talk through. And the second one, okay, Shelly from TLC and Matthew Lawrence from one of my childhood faves, Boy Meets World. So it recently came out. I think it was over the holidays. They posted some pics together, and it officially came out that they were dating. And then Joey Lawrence, also from another one of my childhood favorites, Blossom, his brother, Matthew Lawrence's brother, he came out and said, "Yeah, I've never seen my brother more happy," and yeah, they are living their best life. And so we were talking about this earlier, and I was like, yeah, Chili stay robbing the cradle. She does. But I'm not gonna lie, Chili looks amazing. She's in her 50s and she looks amazing. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at her. But
at all.
yeah.
Go
So
ahead, so young man.
get your tenderoni, your young tenderoni. And Matthew, he's not that young. I want to say he's in his maybe early 40s. He's probably in his 40s, I would say. But anyways, it's probably a good 10-year gap between them. So do you think that this relationship can stand the test of time?
We'll see. We'll see if she's catching water. What is it? Don't go catch
Don't take the
waterfalls.
Yeah, Chili. I mean, in my opinion, there's no reason why Chili should be married by now. I mean, she's been in all kind of relationships. She's dated the best of the best, but she's like, nope, nope. So I don't know if she just has super high standards or if she just has a history of attracting, the wrong person. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with these two. Honestly, I don't know if she wants to be married at this point. I think she may just be like, hey, let's have fun, see what happens, but we'll see. We'll see. So that is our hookups segment. So on to the breakups. All right. All right. And this one we kind of saw coming. We talked about this one during season 5. Our girl Nia Long, she officially called it quits with Coach Ime Udoka. And yeah, it was time. Now, of course, a lot of things surfaced during since then. Of course, it was stated, or it came to the surface, that he was in an inappropriate relationship while he was a coach for the Boston Celtics, and was put on leave and left the team and all that. And then it also surfaced after that hey, this is nothing new, that he's been in multiple relationships with other women, all while being engaged to the Nia Long. So some people were like, did she expect it? Did she know? Is she used to it? But I think, it was time for them to call it quits. I guess I'm wondering though, do you think that she called it quits to save face? Or was she actually tired? Like, I deserve better and I don't want to be in a relationship like this. You know what I mean?
I think it could be a combination of things, because everybody, it was broadcasted for everybody. And I think if she would have stayed, people would have been like, girl, are you silly? Like, why are you in this forever fiance relationship with this guy who's been unfaithful to you? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? I know they have a child together. But I'm just glad she, called it quits finally.
Yeah, but like you said, that's the father of her child. So, it's not like she can really be like to the left. Like, I think there's always going to be some type of relationship there. So, and like you said, I'm sure people were looking at her like, how could you stay in a relationship like this? But if that was what the situation was, and this was just everybody else being informed about it, hey, so I don't know. I will say, I hope that she knows that she deserves better, that she realizes she deserves better, and that is not just for show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, yeah. That's tough though, especially when there are children involved. It's very tough. And she has been forced to talk about it lately because she's been doing press for a lot of, she's in movies. She just did The Best Man Final Chapters. Like, she's been out there producing stuff and acting and stuff. So as she's trying to promote these things, of course they're gonna ask her, how things going, so it's hard. It's very hard. So, but she's maintained grace in the midst of all of it. She knows how to do that, I'm sure, because she's been in the industry forever. But in the midst of all of it, I'm praying for wholeness and healing, and just that she knows, hey, there's so much better for you. So
yes,
we got you, Nia. We got you. All right, and then our last breakup that we're going to talk through is Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott. They actually just had their second child together, and I think it was over the holidays where it was like, okay, why ain't y'all in the same pictures? Or, something is awry. So all that to say, it was official that they are no longer together. Now, I'm not going to say I've really kept up with this relationship. I'm not really a huge fan of either one of them, but, I know them enough to say, okay, y'all, they broke up. But I hate when children are involved, because it's like they in limbo. So we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with this.
I know the headlines are saying like they broke up because leading different lifestyles. To me, I'm like, well, that kind of resonates with like being unequally yoked with someone. So if they're leading different lifestyles, then yeah, maybe they should go their separate ways.
Yeah. We'll see, y'all. We'll see. I can't say I'm gonna keep an eye on this one because I don't really know them like that. But we'll easy. Look, like I got any of them on speed dial, girl. But anyways, that concludes our segment for hookups and breakups. So, anything else for events before we talk advice?
Let's talk about advice.
All right, kick us off, Toya. Kick us off.
All right. So I know you kind of mentioned earlier that you applied to grad school. So
I did.
congratulations on that.
Thank
What
you.
I want to know, what are some tips that you can give to our audience if they have goals that they're trying to pursue? Like, what are some
Yeah.
practical things that they should do?
Absolutely. And I will say, I mean, I was talking with some people about this a couple of weeks ago because I've always believed in, higher education and learning and growing and developing. But after I got my bachelor's, my life just kind of went in a completely different direction. And I ended up working in full time ministry for about 10 years, which I loved. I would not take that season back at all. But I really enjoyed it. But it just, a lot of things went to the back burner. And I kind of had this love hate relationship, if you will, with grad school ever since then. I've applied before, gotten accepted before, but it wasn't really a priority. I was like, okay, I'll come back to that. Or, I want to make sure that it's something that I can actually apply to whatever I'm working on. Or I'd always be like, okay, what's my motive here? Like, am I doing this because, I want to add something to my status or add another title or, like what is it? And so I always knew, especially as I got older, where I was like, okay, if and when I do go back to school, it has to make sense and not just make sense like, finding a major that I enjoy or an area of expertise that I want to pursue, but it has to make sense with the rest of my life, like whatever else I am pursuing or working on or what my goals are or, you know, anything like that. It has to serve me in more than just, oh, I got another degree. So all that to say, I kind of had my eye on this program in particular for, I want to say, like the last 5+ years. And it wasn't until recently where I was like, okay, now I think it's the time. And I'll tell you, I say I think it's the time for a couple of reasons. Number one, Creative Air, which is the company that me and my husband have, we've had some great successes and we're continuing to grow. And as we prepare for this next season, I was like, I really need to increase my business acumen. Like, I really just want to make sure that we are doing everything we need to in order to lay the foundation for a successful company. And so that was the first thing. And because of that, I needed whatever program I entered, whatever degree I pursued, for me to be able to practically apply it to whatever I was dealing with in real life. I didn't want my case studies to be based off of a case study in a book. I wanted my case study to be based off of something I'm literally dealing with right now. Like, okay, I'm trying to work on this strategy and put it together. Here's some feedback, or give me some feedback, or I am encountering this scenario on my 9 to 5 job, and I could really use some insight on how to approach it. And I need that input. So it needed to be something that I could practically apply to my day-to-day life. That was the second thing. And then it also needed to be something that that was where I could work at my own pace and where I could pursue it in a manner that is flexible. It doesn't mean that I'm not willing to work hard, but it means if I need to work hard in the wee hours of the night or the wee hours of the morning versus during 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., then I have that option. And so flexibility was a huge thing for me. And then also cost. I mean, student loans are real. We've talked about that. And I was like, it needs to be something that I can actually afford. Like, I'm not trying to consume tens of $1,000s of, debt for just something that sounds good. Like, it has to serve me just as much as, you know, it has to serve me well. So all that to say, I needed those criteria met. And so when I came across this program, it checked all those boxes, and I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to take the step to apply. It's a year-long program with the option of it being 2 years. So I figured, hey, I'll do the first year, complete my master's. If I like the program and I want to complete the second year, then I'll do that and get my MBA. So we'll see what happens with it. But I would just say, as a working adult, my priorities have shifted a lot. And I had to come to a place where I was like, this is my life. And I'm not, a 22-year-old student anymore. And so, because my priorities have shifted, I could not be afraid to say, this is what I need in a program instead of trying to shift everything else around for the program, if that makes sense. And so,
Right.
um, I would just say, don't be afraid to be clear about what your priorities are and what your wants and your needs are in this season of going back to school, because none of that should negate the quality of education available to you. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I hope that helps anybody that's considering. And y'all are on the journey now. So I'll keep y'all posted. I'll let you know how things go. And who knows? I literally woke up, I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I really doing this? Is it time? Do I need to wait? So, girl, the second thoughts are real. We'll see. We'll see. All right. But yes.
Yes. I can't imagine trying to go back to school right now in the season that I'm in my life. Thankfully, I got my master's before we started having kids and stuff like that. Because
Yes.
I don't see how people do it when they have kids and work. And I mean, I have to do like certifications and different things, but it's not like, a long term schooling that I'm putting myself through. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Well, we'll see, girl. I was like, I ain't done nothing now except put myself out there. So prayers are appreciated. So we'll see. We'll see. Whew.
Yeah,
All right. So you want me to ask you a question? My
sure.
turn. All right. So let's see. I would say, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to make healthier decisions in their life? And it could be in any realm. It could be regarding diet and exercise. It could be just regarding their overall health. But what advice would you give to someone that's trying to prioritize?
Um, okay, so if we talk about making healthier, like let's say food choices or nutrition, I would say set a goal, set a small goal, and make small changes, and be consistent with the small changes, and work on the self discipline. Like for me, when I am focused on like a weight loss goal, I normally have to say, okay, cutting out like the sugary drinks, and I'm gonna go to water or sugar-free drinks and stuff like that. I might start there like the first week, and then I might the next week. Well, in addition to the water, I might say, okay, look, I'm gonna start walking again or consistently at least 3 times a week, and then the next week I'll add something else to that goal. I might focus on breakfast meals. Okay, I'm gonna only do like pancakes and bacon one day a week instead of like Ryan loves making pancakes almost like every day. I'm like, nope, I can't eat that every day. So like I'll have to like communicate that to him like, hey, you gotta help me out on this goal. Like I'm not trying to do all those carbs and stuff like that. And then the next week I might focus on now incorporating lunch and making sure I'm doing like my proteins, my vegetables and fruit and water because I'm already doing the water from the previous week, and then focus on dinner. It's kind of like one step at a time, one meal at a time, one day at a time. So one step at a time. If I'm answering that question from like making healthier food choices.
Okay. Okay. No, that's really good. I mean, I think we oftentimes get overwhelmed by just like what we want the end goal to be, that we don't focus on what's one thing that I can start right now, or what's one thing that I can do right now. So I love how you were talking about just breaking it up into something that is small and that is attainable, because those build with time and then they become something that you start to look back and see the results in, so it motivates you to keep going. So
Right.
awesome. All right.
This infidelity question, I wasn't sure.
Oh, go ahead. Let me see. We can both answer it. I mean,
How do you recover from infidelity in your relationship?
yeah, I mean, first of all, thankfully, I have not experienced that. Don't plan to experience it. I think, you know what it is? I think that came from the whole Nia Long conversation that we were having. I guess the question is, do you feel like you ever could? I mean, I know people that have recovered from it. And I'm like, I thank God for you. I pray I never have to. But do you, I don't know. Like, do you feel like that's something that you could recover from?
Thankfully, I have never um experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm a little cray cray, so I'm
Okay,
glad.
Jasmine. Busting windows out cars and slashing tires. Is that what you're going to do? That's what you're going to do.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, you know, you never know how you're going to respond or react sometimes to certain things until you're in that predicament or in that situation. And based on my personality, like the Holy Spirit has to keep me in check like all the
Amen.
time. That's why I have to exercise to release, built up tension and
Yes.
you know,
Yes. No,
so
that's
I
right.
don't know, like how I would be able to recover. I prayerfully, if I'm ever in that situation, um, I won't go too crazy, but I don't know. I'm gonna need a lot of prayer.
So taking our husbands out of the equation.
Okay,
Have
I
you
don't
ever,
want to think about my husband. Yes,
no, right? We're not going to entertain that. Have you ever been cheated on though in a previous prior relationship?
it was never like officially confirmed. I had
Mm.
suspicions, um, which ultimately ended our relationship because of it. The dishonesty, I felt like, okay, I know I may not have the proof, but I have like the senses and like you kind of I don't know how to describe it. You just figure it out, like
Right.
something's up.
Right.
I guess it's intuition. And when I tried to address it, it was like one lie after the other. And then, ultimately it led to our breakup, and it was not received well from the other party involved. So I guess no. I don't think I would be good at I'm not good for giving advice on this. I break up with people. So I don't know.
You're like,
I don't know.
that's my advice.
Yeah, I guess I'm not good to answer that. I can't get
Yeah.
advice on that.
No, I got you. I got you. I was just curious. So aside from breaking up, you ain't bust their windows or slash their tires, did you, Toya? Or shall that
No, no, no.
shall or we keep that? You see the fifth on
I
that?
did. I did not slash any
Okay.
tires or
Okay.
bust any windows. No,
Okay. I'm just checking. I'm just checking. But
but
yeah.
I'm not. But I'm saying it's always like everyone has a crazy inside of them, and it's always like a possibility. No matter how like saved you are, how holy you are, or you think you are, everyone has the potential to like
Yeah.
some crazy stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, love
No,
will
you're
make
right.
crazy things. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I remember someone telling me this. They were like, everybody, to your point, has a certain percentage of crazy or a certain aspect of crazy in them. It's just a matter of what crazy your spouse can deal with and what crazy your spouse can't deal with. Like, so that's that. And then also, I will never forget. There's gosh, there was a musician that I was talking with, and he said, I forgot how we got on this subject, but he said, yeah, I think his father told him this or something, but he was like, you never know who you're sleeping next to. And I was like, what? Like, yeah, I know who I'm sleeping next to. Like, what are you talking about? Like, me and Chris, I think, had just gotten married. But he was like, no, you really never know. And I was like, what now? What are you saying? But I guess given the circumstances, like you were saying, there's just no telling what you can bring out of a person. So that's why we need Jesus.
That's
And
why we need Jesus.
that's why we need the Holy Spirit. So you're right.
And I think for me, I think I would just remove myself from the equation. That's just my personality. So I don't know if I could deal with the infidelity.
Yeah. Well, I will put a pin in this because, like I said, there are women of God that I know of that have overcome infidelity in their marriages. I love to have them on the show. I'm actually trying to get them on the show for this season. So we'll see, y'all, if we can actually hear from someone that has officially overcome it within a marriage. Of course, we don't recommend you stay in that outside of marriage. But within marriage, a covenant made before God and man, is that something you should try to overcome? Is it something you shouldn't? We'll continue that conversation and make sure we get some other people on here that can shed some light on it. So cool.
Yes.
Anything else for advice before we close out? These were some great questions. Some great questions. Y'all, if y'all have areas that you need, I don't want to say, I mean, we use the word advice loosely because we are not experts in these areas. We'll give you our life experience. We'll tell you what the word of God says. But, if you want us to weigh in, feel free. You can DM us. You can put it in the chat, whatever. You can email us, whatever. If you know us personally, text us. We will not put your name in these streets. But just let us know because we all need somebody to lean on. But anyway, we all need somebody to just kind of weigh in at times on different areas of our lives. So if you want us to include any of your questions in this advice segment for Sippin Tea, then let us know. We do these quite often. All right. All right. So let's get into, is it top picks?
Yes. What are your top picks? What have you been reading, watching, and listening to lately?
You want me to start or you want to
Yeah,
start?
you prefer.
Okay. Well, I will say this. I actually have consumed a lot of content over the past couple months. Number one, I was fasting television during the month of January, which for me is harder than fasting food. I was like walking past the TV but yeah, that was a struggle. And then quarantining, I was like, okay, I gotta, figure something out here. So I did a lot of reading. Actually read Michelle Obama's newest book, The Light We Carry, which I actually enjoyed. To be honest, I'm not a huge reader. I read a lot of articles, things of that nature, but books, I'm like, okay, bite size, bite size. I have two books that I started last year that I didn't finish. So I'm going to try to finish them this year. But I actually finished this book and I hadn't read her first one, Becoming. So it was a gift. And so I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity for me to read it. And I really enjoyed it. So Michelle Obama's The Light We Carry. I started doing more podcasting and I got really into, and y'all, I may be late to the party on this one, but 30 Minutes with the Perrys, Jackie and Preston Perry. I really enjoy their podcast. And I just enjoy their chemistry as husband and wife. Like, I feel like it's great to just kind of experience their chemistry as they tackle, and it could be anything from, diving deep in the word. I was listening to one about headship for men and submission for women. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? But they do it in such a lighthearted way. And so that was cool. And then, Oh, and then I did before January over the holidays, and we talked about this or mentioned this briefly. I had to watch The Best Man, so I binged that literally in a day. I just watched the whole thing after Christmas, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, definitely it was different because it wasn't a movie. So there were, I felt like, some gaps or some spaces that they tried to fill in, but that they probably couldn't do as well because it was a series versus a movie. But yes, so those I would say would probably be my top three. So my top picks. Okay, what about you?
While I was recovering, I read this book called November 9 by Colleen Hoover. It was really, really good. It was a page turner. And just to give you a premise about the book, um, well, I don't want to tell too much about it,
Is it
but
a novel? Is it
yeah,
fiction novel? Okay.
yeah, it's a novel. So there's this, it's like a romantic love story that has some really interesting twists and turns that you don't figure out until the end of the book. So it's very intriguing, but it is like a love story about this girl that has some, I'll say, scars and things from like a fire that she was
Mm.
in. She meets this guy on November the 9th, and they have this interaction. She's with her dad at the time, and he kind of comes and rescues her because her dad is being like really mean to her. And then they have this pact where they meet at the restaurant every November 9th for like the next 5 years or something like that, because her mom told her like you can't be tied down to a guy until you're like over this age, after you've developed your brain fully and know what you want. And so she's kind of like sticking to that, like, don't be tied down. So it's a very interesting journey for those two, twists and lots of twists and turns that you don't see coming, and it brought me to tears in some parts. So it was a really good book. Watching, I also watched The Best Man. That was really good. I'm watching Married at First Sight. This season is
Mhm.
kind of slow. It's not as interesting as some of the other seasons. Me and my husband, we also watch like All American, Homecoming, Firefly Lane Girls. I don't know if you watch any of that type of stuff, but
I, I've heard. What is
it's
Firefly
on
Rainbow
Netflix.
about? What is
It's
it about?
these two girls that grow up on the street called Firefly Lane. It kind of reminds me of like what show? I don't know, but it's like a friendship between these two girls.
Okay.
One that comes from a very like rough background, where her mom is like a single mom, kind of
Mhm.
struggles with like alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. And this other girl, her neighbor, um, comes from like a traditional like middle class family, and they kind of grow up together and experience different like life choices and seasons. Like it does like a lot of flashbacks and present
Hmm.
day type of scene. So it's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Any other top picks for the week?
That's it for me.
All right, y'all. Well, for the month of February, at least, as we close out the month of love, we're going to have a love challenge each week. And so, you want to tell everyone about this week's love challenge?
Yes, this week's love challenge is demonstrating love in action. So, what we want you all to do is show love to a stranger this week. It can just be something as simple as making eye contact, paying for their food, paying for their coffee, or just helping them in some form or fashion. So, we just want you to demonstrate some type of love in action.
Yes. All right, y'all. So that concludes our season premiere for season 6. And next week, we're going to keep down the lane of love and relationships and, all that good stuff. And we're going to be talking sex, lies, and confessions. So you don't want to miss it. We're going to have a very special guest with us. And yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So we'll hope to see y'all next week. Okay.
And don't forget to grab your merch, get your teas, your cups at becomingevatoday.com, your coffee mug. Got both of them here. If you haven't, I don't know if you can see that. There we go. If you haven't grabbed any of your mugs or your shirts like Maya was showing you, make sure you go to our website and support Becoming Eva.
Yes. All right, good people.
And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Becoming Eva Today. See you guys soon.
See you soon, good people.